and I'm excited to be handling the mobile, Internet of Things, and edge testing for the future, right? Um, so imagine waking up to your alarm clock, which has already communicated with your coffee maker to make you your favorite blend, and then uh, it has even synced with your car to warm up your commute. Uh, this welcomes you to an interconnected world of Internet of Things, where not only devices talk to us, but they also talk to each other. Okay, so with this great connectivity comes great responsibility. As us, the QA professionals, we are always tasked to ensure that these devices function well, securely, and reliable. Okay, it's not just about testing individual components, okay, but it's also something to do with testing the entire ecosystem, because remember, these things are interconnected and they are working together. So today, I'd love us to discuss a topic of the mobile, the Internet of Things, and edge testing, and us exploring the challenges, strategies for effective testing in this dynamic landscape, right? For starters, I'm Akram, just like Jacqueline said. I'm a senior software quality assurance engineer, and yeah, I'm excited to be here. So, the first thing we're going to be talking about the evolving landscape of tech, right? So we have realized there is rapid growth of mobile, Internet of Things, and edge computing, right? We have also realized that there is increasing demand of real-time data processing and connectivity. You realize that uh, when you're doing something, you want something to do things in real time. Like you don't want to first wait for years. Okay. Previously, you'd be okay to wait for maybe an hour to get response, but now you really want it fast as soon as possible. So this necessitates us having robust quality assurance practices to ensure reliability, right? So let's talk about case studies of these three: the mobile application testing, the Internet of Things device testing, and edge computing. So, talking about mobile app testing, what do we really understand by mobile testing? Okay, I know all of us know mobile. Everyone has a phone. Everyone has an iOS, Android phone. But mobile testing, as us as QA, it's us ensuring that app performance across all devices and networks is effective and reliable, right? It does not matter whether it's basically iOS, Android, or any other operating system that you may be using on your mobile phone, right? The Internet of Things device testing, it's for us to ensure that we are verifying sensor data accuracy and device interoperability, right? Ensuring that whatever you're doing, like I mentioned, um, whatever data you're basically having is accurate, right? And the device you're using for this data is uh how do I term it well? Is operable. Like it's you can operate you can operate you can operate correct and accurate data onto it, right? Then edge computing testing is assessing that the data processing, right, is effective at a network. I know most people might ask themselves, okay, what do you mean by edge computing? Okay, I'll explain that in a few slides. Mm. So, as we continue to look at mobile testing, we are looking at the mobile testing challenges, right? you realize that there's so many device ecosystems and operating systems in devices. As personally, when I'm doing my work, I basically test mobile devices. I test iOS, Android, right? For now, those are the biggest. But you realize a place like a place like if you've been to, I don't know if you've been to China, but you realize that if you go to China, you'll find some phones with different operating systems, right? The challenges we face, we as quality assurance engineers, is that there are so many devices on the market using different operating systems, right? We also face a challenges. We also face a challenge of different screen sizes and hardware capabilities. If you've been doing mobile testing, you realize that you seriously have to test this app in all the screen sizes. You realize that this app works well and okay on one device, but it crashes on another device. Okay, now you ask yourself, does this app has a favorite child and the rest are just there? Right? Or, or it's me doing something wrong. So that brings a challenge to us like quality assurance engineer, that we have to ensure that apps are tested efficiently on all devices and all screen sizes, right? We also face a challenge of ensuring that we have consistent user experience across all platforms, right? So if you have a user experience where a user logs in, okay, before logging in, they receive an OTP, and this OTP has to autofill in the phone. If this is being done on iOS, you as a QA engineer, you have to ensure that the same procedure is what an Android user is getting. Okay, so that's a challenge because different OS or different devices work differently. But we as QA, we have to ensure that. Then handling network uh, uh, viability and offline scenarios. So you understand that there are cases where basically apps are working offline, and there are cases where you need specific internet connectivity, right? So recently, I'll give you a small scenario. Recently, in the company I'm working with, I'm working with a company called Safe Border. It's a company, it's a startup in Uganda, just like Uber. So you can order a car, you can order a motorbike. I know some of you might have heard of it. So we have an issue where um, see internet signal or GPS signals goes down on driver's side, and they cannot be able to receive requests from passengers, right? So as a QA engineer, I have to ensure that I run tests on to see what happens if the signal is down or in offline scenarios, and what happens if the network is low or the GPS signal is low, or the networks the network is viable from low to high. So what happened in all those cases? So that's a challenge for us because you need to write test cases for all these kinds of scenarios and also ensure that these test cases are effective and passing, right? Then we now talk about the internet of things testing complexities, right? So testing internet of things devices is really like keeping cuts, I would say that, because each has its own protocol behavior and a tendency to go offline when you need it the most. Right? We all know what how internet can behave, right? Because you really don't have the power to like maybe uh maybe force it to do something. It can go off anytime, at any time, and you have nothing to do. So some of the testing challenges we have here would be different devices having different protocols, right? Uh, we also have security vulnerability and data privacy concerns. Some of the speakers have been talking about data privacy, data privacy. So with the Internet of Things, there are so many people trying, if you worked with fintech, there are so many people trying to get into your apps like all the time, right? So you as a QA engineer, you have to ensure that whatever you're testing, okay, ensures there is data privacy, right? And ensures that there is security at its most, okay? Then we also have real world environmental testing conditions, okay? Uh, different, you see, in the real world, when you're doing some tests, uh, for example, uh, let's say I know different people use different environments while they're testing. Some people may use production, other people use staging production, other people use developer staging production. So during these developer staging production, developer and staging, you may choose uh, browser stack, you may choose Android Studio, and you have so many emulators to basically emulate or basically carry out test cases like you want. But this is now different in the real world, right? In the real world and this Internet of Things, we have we face different challenges because in the real world, you have to test what people are facing. You're emulating in your testing process. But in the real world, now you face a challenge where you have to do real user testing. And hence, that's really a big challenge. I'll talk about the edge testing challenges, right? So, in edge testing, we test distributed system with a decentralized data processing, with decentralized data processing. Here, I mean, this is where I told you that I would explain more about edge testing, right? So, uh, just a second. So, uh, when when you basically uh, let's say how many uh, how many of the team how many of the people here have done testing of a distributed system where basically you have um, different components coming together, right? So in edge testing, what we basically do is that we ensure that performance, security, reliability uh, occurs like comes from uh, we ensure that it all occurs from a data source rather than it comes from one place rather than solely depending on centralized cloud servers, right? So the key challenges in edge testing would be you have limited resources. For example, you're constrained with processing power and storage, right? That necessitates that helps you to do testing strategies. Then you have security concerns. Again, protecting data integrity and privacy in decentralized environment. Remember, this time around in edge testing, you're not doing it from a centralized environment. You're doing it from decentralized environments where, uh, in this case, devices may be more easily uh, vulnerable to attacks because they are basically decentralized, right? Then you have a distributed architecture. And with this distributed architecture, you're basically carrying out tests across different hardwares and different software configurations. Hence, this is actually a challenge. This is really hard, right? This is really hard because you basically have to have different hardware and different software configurations to keep on running several different test cases, right? So, what are some of the QA strategies for the future? With all these challenges that we have in places, the challenges with the edge testing computing, challenges with the Internet of Things, challenges with the mobile testing, where different mobile systems are coming in. What are some of the QA strategies for the future? So some of the QA strategies would be implementing automation testing, right? So this ensures efficiency. You know, if, for example, in you doing edge testing, you're basically running tests all the time. It's going to really tire you, like the same kind of test all the time. But if you implement automation testing, it means that you as a QA or as the QA team or as the whole team, it's going to really take less time testing these kinds of system than taking literally several hours trying to run the same tests over and over again, right? Then we're also going to basically utilizing simulation and emulation for diverse scenarios, right? We have so many simulation and emulation tools that exist. Uh, they're new coming on market. So as QA engineers, we need to utilize these to basically try as much as we can to simulate and emulate real world scenarios. They might not be as perfect as possible, but we try as much as we can to emulate these scenarios, right? Yeah, implementing in this kind of QA strategies, implementing AI in QA is great, right? Until AI starts asking you questions about your test cases. So, are you sure this is the best approach? Right? You can let me know in the chat. But yeah, we need to think about incorporating AI and machine learning to to predict analysis. Right? So for the analytics, if we can add from my workplace, we have started adding machine learning and QA in our basically writing test cases. So it has made our work more easier. So this is something that as the generation of AI is coming in and growing every day, we as QA, we need to become better, right? Then also adopting CI and CD pipelines, right? So after doing the automation, we need to adopt CI/CD pipelines. Yes, have our tests running pipelines all the time. Of course, with different tools, Jenkins, GitLab pipelines, Bitbucket pipelines, as we can all know. Then, so with this all happening, now how are we handling ourselves to to prepare for the future? Uh, I know most of us may be using agile methodologies. We need to embrace more agile methodologies for to have this rapid adoption of all these changes coming in, right? We also have to invest in continuous learning and skill development. Right? Um, just like I mentioned, AI is coming up. Like all the time, AI is coming up, and different AI tools are coming up. So, us as QA, we need to basically continue learning what this AI, so that we are prepared for this transition. Okay, so continuous learning and skill development is really important. We also have to continue fostering the collaboration between us, the QA team, the development team, operations team, the product managers, just like the debate we had. So that collaboration makes us work as a team and makes us produce better quality products. right? We also have to keep ourselves updated with the emerging trades and technologies, different things that are coming up on the market. I know most people here are seeing the different things that are coming in playwright, how playwright is really doing awesome things that maybe selenium couldn't do, but now playwright can do, right? So my conclusion to this is, um, remember that in the world of QA, right, if everything seems perfect, then you're probably missing out something. You have to stay curious, to stay skeptical, and always double check. For example, your coffee machine, if it's not connected to the internet. So, like we always say, any application cannot be 100% bug free. So, as QA, we have to stay focused. We have to um, be proactive and adapt to testing strategies. We have to be committed to quality to ensure the trust of users and the technological advancement that we are facing at this moment. So I thank you all and have a nice day.